Thanks for trusting KXLH. I'm Tim McGonigal. First at 5:30, a one-vehicle crash injures 2 people on Interstate 15 this afternoon. First responders were called to mile marker 188 just north of Montana City shortly before 1:15. According to the Montana Highway Patrol, the driver of a red sedan traveling north on the right lane of the interstate fell asleep at the wheel, drifted left into the median, overcorrected back onto the roadway, overcorrected again, and rolled once in the median. The driver was wearing her seatbelt but had to be cut out of the vehicle by firefighters. MHP Trooper Benjamin Amos says the driver and a passenger received only minor injuries. The driver was cited for careless driving. Trooper Amos says if you're feeling sleepy at the wheel, to make sure to pull over and get some rest. Congress is voting tomorrow on whether to continue federal funding for Planned Parenthood, which has been at the center of a political storm. Many Republicans point to evidence that Planned Parenthood provides tissue from aborted fetuses to medical research. In Montana, the money helps Planned Parenthood clinics in Billings, Missoula, Great Falls, and Helena provide family planning services to low-income patients. That includes birth control, testing for sexually transmitted diseases, and cancer screening. Planned Parenthood of Montana CEO Martha Stahl says none of that money funds abortions and that no Planned Parenthood clinics here are involved in fetal tissue research. But Montana's 2 Republican members of Congress, Senator Steve Daines and Representative Ryan Zinke, want to end federal funding for Planned Parenthood.
Accept the destruction and selling of our children, to stare clearly into the face of the appalling and do nothing.
In many states, we've had investigations of Planned Parenthood after these videos came out, and in every single state that's completed their investigation, Planned Parenthood has been found to have done absolutely nothing wrong.
Tune in at 10 tonight for a complete report by MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison. In Great Falls today, Planned Parenthood supporters joined a national movement called Pink Out Day with at least 240 events nationwide. They range from rallies to sex education to free STD testing. The Great Falls Planned Parenthood chose to do a 4-block walk with the intention of hand-delivering a letter to U.S. Representative Ryan Zinke's regional office. Zinke voted in favor of a bill that would defund Planned Parenthood. The number of people in Montana killed by their spouses or partners is on the rise. A legislative interim committee heard the data today. A record 16 people have died this year in Montana in homicides by intimate partners. In the last 15 years, women committed about 1/4 of those homicides, but on Indian reservations, women committed more than half of them. Nearly half of the intimate partner homicides in Montana are also suicides, a much higher rate than the national average. In about half of those murder-suicides, the children are also killed.
And already here at the end of September, it's the highest number of killings since we've been keeping track. We still have October, November, and December left, and in many years, the final quarter, those last 3 months, we see actually a spike. The numbers are what they are, and this has not been a good year for domestic violence victims.
Recommendations of the state's Domestic Violence Fatality Review Commission include improved training for public assistance case managers and a law to specifically address strangulation. The commission also recommends raising the amount of compensation from the state for victims' funeral costs. It's been at $3,500 since 1995. A Capitol High senior is suing the Montana High School Association and is now speaking out. 18-year-old Tyler Taylor hoped that he'd be able to play football during his final year of high school, but because he received a high school equivalency diploma, or HSED, by taking the HISET exam at Trapper Creek Job Corps, the MHSA has deemed Taylor ineligible. The Montana Board of Education states you must be 19 years old to receive a high school equivalency diploma. There are waivers available allowing students aged 16 through 18 to take the HISET, but the student must not be enrolled in high school. Taylor was dual enrolled at Trapper Creek and Sentinel High School when completing the HISET. Taylor says he isn't outright blaming the state or Trapper Creek. However, he does believe there was a lack of communication somewhere leading him to receive an HSED, which Taylor says he doesn't even qualify for.
They do a fine job getting kids in and out of there with the stuff they need to go onto the workforce, but it was just I think it was just a mistake, and I'm suffering some consequences from that, and I'd like to fix that.
The case is now at the Montana Supreme Court with a motion pending before a district court judge requesting to allow Taylor to play football while the lawsuit proceeds. Well, it was quite the warm day today, but it sure was beautiful. Meteorologist Ryan Rose is in the Weather Center to give us a preview of what we can expect tomorrow. Ryan?
Yes, it was a very warm, and we're actually going to be getting even warmer tomorrow. Just how warm it will get in Storm Tracker weather.
All right, thanks a lot, Ryan. Well, a jury was selected this morning in the deliberate homicide trial of Adam Sanchez Jr. Sanchez is accused of intentionally hitting and killing Cascade County Deputy Joe Dunn last August. Opening statements began with prosecutors giving a detailed account of the chase that killed Deputy Dunn. They used a map to mark each important point of the pursuit from its beginning to the time Sanchez was taken into custody. The defense opened by reminding jurors that the state must prove Sanchez had the intent to kill Dunn. Public Defender Tom Bartleson sat in a chair while he explained that Sanchez never even saw Deputy Dunn.
When the defendant saw Joe, he accelerated towards him, swerved his car directly towards him, aiming his car at Joe, hit and killed Joe.
And make the decision whether or not the deputy was even seen and whether or not there was a knowing choice, as the state has said, to turn towards him and strike him.
The first witness called by the prosecution was MHP Trooper Sam Goodmoot, who initially attempted to stop Sanchez for speeding. Goodmoot described the chase as it developed and narrated his car's dashcam video. He testified Sanchez was able to avoid 2 sets of stop sticks before coming to Deputy Dunn. Goodmoot remained adamant that Sanchez saw Dunn and intentionally swerved to hit him. The Kalispell woman who disappeared after visiting her boyfriend in 2013 has never been found, but today her boyfriend denies in court that he killed her. Cody Johnston of Fairview is charged with deliberate homicide and tampering with evidence for the death of his girlfriend Nicole Waller. He denied the charge at his arraignment this morning. The arrest and charge of Johnston is the first major break in the cold case. The mother of 3, also battling cancer at the time, had traveled across the state to visit Johnston at his home in Fairview. Waller never returned home. Johnston's co-worker told police he was asked to help move Waller's car to Fort Peck, where investigators discovered it sometime later. Johnston is being held at the Richland County Jail on $250,000 bond. Well, in another blow to Montana's timber industry after Tricon Timber in St. Regis laid off nearly 90 of its employees last week. Tricon Vice President of Logistics Joe Zito tells us the stud market has suffered all year, and now buyers are holding off because they're waiting to see what the end of the U.S.-Canadian softwood trade agreement next month will do to prices. He tells us that that's just part of the problem facing the timber industry right now.
Basically, our legislators have to do something about that softwood agreement. With the yen being devalued, we're also having to contend with Canada usually sent their lower grade studs in overseas. Now it's not profitable for them to do that, so that market's going to come into the United States also. So not only are we going to be competing with the higher grade, but we're going to have to compete with the whole gambit of our product mix.
Tricon Timber is one of the largest employers in Mineral County. Zito says he hopes once market conditions improve, they can hire back those who were laid off.